Hello everyone, welcome back to DIY Beauty on Purpose. My name is Leonette and I'm so glad you're here. So for this DIY, I am going to start with this home sign that I recently got at the Dollar Tree. It has this galvanized heart, which of course I'm going to keep because it's super cute and I may use it for other DIYs. But otherwise, I am just going to leave everything as is and I am going to give it 2.5 coats of rust-oleum chalk paint in the linen white. I just recently also got this windmill from their kind of like their garden section. They are starting to put everything out and I'm so happy. I literally got like 6 of these because I have never seen them in my Dollar Tree and now I have them and I'm happy. So I'm going to remove just the windmill portion of it. I am going to hot glue that little top portion there. That way it's as flat as possible on the back. Now, I couldn't get it very flat because the back portion was too thick to cut, but I made it work. I just glued it to the left-hand side of the board, and you'll see that here in a minute. But first, I am going to sand down the edges, giving it a more farmhouse distressed look. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I will be hot gluing that windmill. I'm going to hot glue it in the middle as well as the top. That way it's nicely secure. Using my Cricut, I cut the scripture that says, "And the wind ceased, and there was great calm." It's on Mark 4:39. I love the scripture, and I thought it went great with the windmill. So I'm just going to place it there on the other side of the windmill. And if you do not have a Cricut, you can always print this out and use so many methods of transferring it, whether it's Mod Podge or just carbon paper. There's so many ways you can do it. So look how beautiful it turned out. I'm so excited about this little sign. I think it's so cute. It can go in any decor and it's very farmhouse-ish. Alright, for this next DIY, I'm going to take these 2 planters from the Dollar Tree, again from their like garden section, and I am going to hot glue them together, hot glue them and E6000 them together. That way I have a short-term or a quick bond as well as a long-term bond, and I'm just going to hot glue them to each other, and you'll see here how I do it. Once both planters were nicely secure and the glue was dry, I am now going to give it 2 coats of rust-oleum chalk paint in the linen white. What I'm creating here is a mini, like a wine barrel. At first I'm like, I don't think this is going to be right. I just love the style of the planters. It already had that look. So I thought I'm going to try, and I love to hear what you think, if you think I nailed it or failed it in trying to create a little wine barrel. Once the paint was dry, I am going to distress it using a 60 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to focus on the edges and a little bit here and there just to give it a little bit more of a farmhouse look. But if distressed look is not your look, you can certainly leave that step. I'm going to take these upholstery tags, and at first I thought I would just remove the little like pointy part and hot glue them, but it wasn't working out. I couldn't cut the little pointy part deep enough. It was just not working out. So I decided to just drill a hole with a small drill bit and then hot glue them, making sure that the little pointy part goes right in the hole, and it worked out well. I did that all on the top and the bottom rim as well as in the middle. I swear that I'll stay with Using my Cricut, I cut the phrase farmhouse vineyard established. I think it was 1904. I don't know. I just picked any date or any year. I'm going to use the farmhouse one for the top part. I did make a couple cuts to the transfer tape because it has that round shape. It just easier to cut, and that way you don't have like a tilted word. And I did the same thing for the bottom one. And we're just about done with this one. I'm just going to finish transferring the vineyard, and I think it turned out super cute. Let me know what you think. Do you think it looks like a wine barrel? Or do you think it just looks like something? Let me know down in the comments. I like it. I think it turned out super cute. Alright, so for this next DIY, I am going to take this piece of scrap board that I had in the garage. You've probably seen me using several. They all came from the same piece. I just cut them in different pieces and sizes. This one, I'm just going to give it one pretty heavy coat of rust-oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And then once it was dry, I distressed it pretty heavily using a 220 grit sandpaper along with my electric sander. I do make sure that I wipe it down very, very well, because the dust is so fine when you're sanding that, for example, for this decal that I'm using from Dollar Tree, it just wouldn't stick right. So just make sure it's nicely dusted. This decal I got very recently at the Dollar Tree, and I thought it was beautiful. I'm only going to use the part where it says bloom from within, but I think the other portion is very pretty as well. But for the size of the board, I just thought it would be very appropriate to use just the wording. So I'm just going to place it towards the top, a little bit on the tilted side. And then I'm going to take these, I think these are lavender. I honestly don't know where I got them. I don't remember. I've had them for a while. Maybe Dollar General? I'm not sure. But they're beautiful, and I have several bundles of them, so I thought it'd be super cute and appropriate for the sign. I'm going to join them together using some nautical rope from the Dollar Tree and then attach it to the bottom with hot glue, and that's it for this one. Super simple, super cute, perfect for spring coming up, and how easy and so inexpensive.
You say take me on a treasure hunt. I long for something new. Have you heard the fairies when they sing and dance? Oh, I wish it was me every night. When I close my eyes, I see beauty lives in me.
I also want to let you know that I do have a playlist filled with many, many videos that are just those longer ones that I know a lot of you love. So if you're into those very long mega videos with tons of inspiration, check it out. I'm going to have it at the end as a link. All right, for this next DIY, I am going to take this little tiny oil jar, which I think is super adorable. Look at this super cute, tiny little cork. It's so cute. I'm going to remove the cork because I'm going to make this into a little planter. I actually using my Cricut again, I cut out the word home, and I'm going to place it right in the center in the front of the jar.
I know the sign was given It's in the way you move and in the sound of your heart. We tend to fall.
All right, so now I am going to add these boxwood. These are part of just like this hanging boxwood that I got from Amazon a while back. I think it was for like last summer. I still have some left over, and I'm just going to just place them and kind of dangle them, let them kind of fall from the top of the vase. And I think this is so adorable, so cute, and so easy to make.
Tell me how, and I'll do it, babe. 'Cause I just wanna make you feel what I do about you. So just tell me how, and I'll do it, babe. I love it when you whisper in my ear, words only meant for me to hear. Promise that your secret's safe with me. You're the only reason, yes, you're the only reason. Baby, you're the answer to my prayers. Feeling like the world's in our hands.
All right, so for this next DIY, I am going to take 3 of these Target dollar spot windows, and I am going to remove all the hardware as well as the plastic backing that they each have. I am then going to put them together or join them together using hot glue and staples, and I'm making sure that I am stapling them on the back of them.
Would you stay till the morning light, or would you follow me, or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right. We'll find the remedy, or would you stay with me now till the morning light? Before you turn away, I just want you to know that I didn't throw your stuff away. Before you make up your mind that I'm nowhere to find, I'm standing right here. I know that I told you we're over, I swear that I'm sober. Just listen, I miss you. And I know that I said all these things, but now when you're with her, I can see that you miss me.
I am now going to start painting them. I am going to paint the middle cross, the cross section, and I am going to paint them using Waverly chalk paint in the ink. And then all the around rim is going to be white, and I am going to use rust-oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And I'm only going to do 1 coat of each. Once everything was dry, I am now going to take these florals from the Dollar Tree. Aren't they beautiful? I love these. I'm going to just cut all the little branches off of it, and I'm going to join them together using some nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, wrap it around, and then hot glue it to the bottom of the window. I am now going to take this welcome, I think it's like a galvanized sign from Target Dollar Spot, and I'm just going to hot glue it towards the bottom, but right above the flower arrangement. And then I am going to put back one of the little claw hook hanging thingies that it originally had, just one. It's not too heavy, and that way I can hang it if I want it, or I can also place it on anywhere, like on a mantle or anywhere. But look how beautiful it looks. With just a few dollars, you have a custom little farmhouse style sign that I absolutely love. Alright guys, so for this next DIY, I am going to take 3 of these Dollar Tree canvases. I'm going to remove the canvas and keep the frame.
Closer to ya. Tell me how and I'll do it, babe. 'Cause I just wanna make you feel the way I do about you. So just tell me how and I'll do it, babe. I love it when you whisper in my ear, words only meant for me to hear. Promise that your secret's safe with me. You're the only reason, yes, you're the only reason. Baby, you're the
I am now going to take them outside and I'm just going to give them a coat of this flat white by Rust-Oleum. I did ended up giving it another like half coat of brushed chalk paint on it just to make sure that it wasn't as translucent as the spray paint was kind of absorbing to each frame.
baby, you're the answer to my prayers. Feeling like the world's in our hands. Now I know that this is meant to be. You're the only reason, yes, you're the only reason I'm free.
Once the paint was dry, it was time to bring him back inside. I am going to place one kind of like what you see, and then the other two are just going to form a triangle over them. Now, before I glue them, I am going to drill a hole right in the middle there, and I'm putting them together because I want to make sure that I drill a hole where it goes through both of them, because I am going to be placing a kind of like a light. This is going to be a light fixture, and I want to make sure that I have a place where I can thread the cable through. And now it's time to put everything together. I am going to use simply hot glue, and basically I'm going to hot glue on all the edges, so on top and the bottom where all the frames meet.
You're the only reason, yes, you're the only reason I'm free. You and I could run away now. You and I could be on our way. Pack our bags and take this love to a different place now. Yes, you and I could be on our way. I love it when you whisper in my ear, words only meant for me to hear. Promise that your secret's safe with me. You're the only reason, yes, you're the only reason. Baby, you're the answer to my prayers. Feeling like the world's in our hands. Now I know that this is meant to be. You're the only reason, yes, you're the only reason I am free.
Alright guys, so moving on to the lighting portion of it, I'm going to take this light bulb from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to tape off the actual white part of it, and then I am going to spray paint the rest black to ensure that it's going to be, so it's not blue. So it looks nicer with the decor. And then I took it outside and spray painted with a flat black by Rust-Oleum.
You're the only reason, yes, you're the only reason I am free.
I placed some batteries in it, and now it's time to add some black rope. So this black rope I also got at Dollar Tree. This is where the auto supplies are, actually the light bulb as well. I removed the little string from it, or the little tie that it came with, and I'm just going to tie a knot for using this black rope, and then I'm just going to cut enough where I need, I guess, for whatever long or length I want the cord to hang. I'm just going to thread it through the little hole I made earlier, and then that's it for this one. I'm going to add just a few little lamb's ear to add as decoration, and then I think this one turned out so stinking cute. Alright friends, for this next DIY, I am going to take Dollar Tree foam board and my square. I want to make a very farmhouse style decor for the wall, and I'm going to make arrows. I want them to look like they are made out of wood though. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start just making like the arrows, just little triangles. Whatever thickness you want, you can make. I just decided to making, they're about 2.5 inches wide, and then I'm just using a piece of scrap foam board as you can see. So whatever, if you're going to recreate something like this, just make sure that all of them have about the same thickness and the same kind of like angled height.
Look out, here she comes. The woman that I love. It's too bad she'll never know. Yeah, I can't tell her how I feel, because she has someone who makes her happy. I'm a ghost in these walls, or at least I try to be. 'Cause I hope that I'm not showing how I feel for her.
Once I had them nicely drawn, I'm now just going to cut them using a blade knife, and then I'm going to sand them down just a little bit to make sure that the edges are nicely smooth.
But she won't feel the same for me. I've got this picture in my mind. It's just the two of us, just the two of us. But I know I have to try to let her go, because she won't be mine. I listen when she talks. I watch.
Now that I have the 3 large ones made, it's time to make small ones to put right in the middle of these. I'm going to use the same technique, just make them smaller.
She's giving me these feelings that I've never felt before, but she will never know that I love her so well. She's with somebody else, and I will have to let her go. She will never know, nah, nah. Never know, nah, nah. She will never know, nah, nah. Never know, nah, nah. She'll never know. It's like she stole my heart without knowing she did. But I guess that it will pass. Yeah, I can't be the only one who got lost inside the blue of those eyes. I've gotta let her go. I know it won't be easy. I wanna hold her close.
And there you go. Now I have the 2 small ones, and I'm going to kind of see what they look like to ensure it's what I'm looking for.
But I have to try as hard as I can, 'cause she'll never be mine.
And as I mentioned earlier, just a light sand would do the work, just to make sure that the edges are nicely sanded and just smooth.
Listen when she talks. I watch her when she walks. She's giving me these feelings that I've never felt before. She will never know that I love her so well. She's with
I want these to have a little bit of a industrial look, so I'm going to use some hot glue and just kind of make little circles on the end of each. This is just going to kind of mimic as if it had a nice big bolt on the end of each one.
someone who makes her happy. I'm a ghost in these walls, or at least I try to be. 'Cause I hope that I'm not showing how I feel for her, but she won't feel the same for me. I've got this picture in my mind. It's just the two of us, just the two of us.
And now it's time to paint. I'm going to paint different colors, but we're going to stay within like the neutral colors. So I'm going to do whites, grays, and like a charcoal, which is pretty dark. And I'm going to do them all in the different colors. That way they kind of go together, but at the same time contrast each other.
But I know I have to try to let her go, because she won't be mine. I listen when she talks, I watch her when she walks. She's giving me these feelings that I've never felt before, but she will never know that I love her
The
so.
paint that I am using is Rust-Oleum chalk paint, and it's in the linen white, country gray, and the charcoal tones.
She's with somebody else, and I will have to let her go. She will never know, na-na. Never know, na-na. She will never know, na-na. Never know, na-na. She'll never know. It's like she stole my heart without knowing she did. But I guess that it will pass. Yeah, I can't be the only one who got lost inside the blue of those eyes. I've gotta let her go. I know it won't be easy. I wanna hold her close, but I have to try as hard as I can, 'cause she'll never be mine. I listen when she talks, I watch her when she walks. She's giving me these feelings that I've never felt before. She will never know that I love her so.
Using the same colors, I am just going to add a little bit of distress, just painting over them using a dry brush technique. On the darker one, I use the white. On the white, I use the gray, and then on the gray, I used the charcoal. And after they were dry, it was done. I'm so happy with the way these turned out. So easy to get on the wall too, because they're so light. I just used like two-sided tape, and it works perfectly. All right, moving along, this next DIY, I am going to take these 3 Dollar Tree containers, and I am going to turn them into these cute little farmhouse style containers. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some glue from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to glue some knobs. These are just some old knobs that I got off of a dresser a long time ago, and I'm just going to glue them right on top.
Why don't we say that it's too late for us now? Why do we stay when I blame you for the things that weigh me down? 'Cause in the echo of
Once the glue was dry, I'm now going to take them outside, and I'm going to spray paint them in the flat black by Rust-Oleum.
the echo of your silence, I only hear what's best for me. Yeah, in the echo of your silence, I'm thinking more of her. She wants to study your
And then I am going to spray paint the bottom portion of the containers with the flat white.
who gets the better version of you. I need the bitter truth. I need the better version of you. I need the better version of you. Better you.
Once dry, I took them back inside, and now using a permanent marker, I'm just going to kind of distress them. I want to give them a little bit more of an enamel look to them.
You talk about faith. Is it just something you say? girl, you're texting when I look away. 'Cause in the echo of your silence,
I'm going to take these little chalkboard tags from the Dollar Tree, take the stake out of them, and then I'm going to hot glue one in each front of the containers.
only hear what's best for me. Yeah, in the echo of your silence, I'm thinking more of her. She who wants to study your body, who gets the better version of you. I need the bitter, bitter truth. I need the better version of you. I need the better version of you.
And we're just about done with these, guys. These turned out so adorable. I love the way this turned out. Such a great way to store things, especially not having the clear see-through. I just love them, and they have such a farmhouse look. Alright friends, for this next DIY, I am going to take this Dollar Tree bowl and I'm going to remove the sticker from it as well as the little tag that is like sticking out from the lid.
I met him on a sunny day in late July, and everything turned upside down. I almost lost track of time as weeks went by. I couldn't get him off my mind. I told him I want that great love, like standing in the middle of a bonfire. You don't know how you got there, but you hold tight.
Now I am going to drill holes on top of the lid because originally I was going to do something different with it. I was going to add that little handle that you see there. It didn't work out in the end, but I wanted to show you the whole process. So I drilled the 2 holes in preparation to then add the handle.
Tight, knowing that you can't get burned. Just tell me how we lost track of everything but each other. I honestly don't know. And tell me how we messed up, drifting away from each other. Didn't want to let you go. Cause we wanted different things, and
I am not going to use this stencil. I'm only going to use the portion that's in the middle, and I think it's called like a fleur de lis maybe. And I'm going to give it a raised stencil technique using some spackle from the Dollar Tree, where basically you just spread it like if it was frosting, using or leaving the stencil as steady as possible, and then removing the stencil, and then you'll have a nicely raised stencil on it. And I let it dry overnight.
but it's not easy. So tell me how to let go, cause you really seem to know how to carry on your own. Ever since I got a good look in his eyes, I just knew that he was special. He said he wanted to take it slow, but I couldn't help that I wanted to take it to the next level. Cause I wanted that great love, like standing in the middle of a bonfire. You don't know how you got there, but you hold tight, knowing that you can't get burned. Just tell me how we lost track of everything but each other. I honestly don't know. And tell me how we messed up, drifting away from each other. Didn't want to let you go. Cause we wanted different things, and I have to deal with it, but it's not easy. So tell me how to let go, cause you really seem to know.
Alright, so now I'm going to take these little knobs. This is where I had to then glue instead of using the holes. So I'm just going to glue them right over the holes so we don't see them.
How to carry on.
I then took it outside and sprayed it white using the flat white by Rust-Oleum.
Met him on a sunny day in late July, and everything turned upside down. I almost lost track of time as weeks went by. I couldn't get him.
Once the paint was dry, it's now time to add a little bit of distressing. This time I'm going to use some Waverly wax or antiquing wax, and I'm just going to start placing with a little tiny brush all around where like creases are, details are, just to add a little bit of dimension and just some aging to it. And then I'll just wipe off the excess, and I'll do that all around the container.
He said he wanted to take it slow, but I couldn't help that I wanted to take it to the next level. Cause I wanted that great love, like standing in the middle of a bonfire. You don't know how you got there, but you hold tight, knowing that you can't get burned. Just tell me how we lost track of everything but each other. I honestly don't know. And tell me how we messed up, drifting away from each other. Didn't wanna let you go. Cause we wanted different things, and I have to deal with it, but it's not easy. So tell me how to let go, cause you really seem to know how to carry on. Met him on a sunny day in late July, and everything turned upside down. I almost lost track of time as weeks went by. I couldn't get him off my mind.
And now I'm just going to thread some jute twine from the Dollar Tree and call it a day. Make a knot in each side, and then this container, so much character. I love it. I love the space that it has. So much storage space, and yeah, just so farmhouse-like.
I couldn't get him off my mind. Lost track of everything but each other. I honestly don't know. And tell me how we messed up, drifting away from each other. Didn't wanna let you go. Cause we wanted different things, and I have to deal with it, but it's not easy. So tell me how to let go, cause you really seem to know how to carry on. How to carry on.
All right, for this next DIY is another super easy. I'm going to take this Target Dollar Spot wreath, which is stunning just as it is, but I'm going to take more of those florals from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to clip all the branches once again, but this time I'm going to clip them very close to the edge. And I am going to start just dry fitting them. So basically not gluing yet. I'm just kind of fit them where I think they should go. And once I know where they go, I actually decided to trim just a bit more of the branch or of the stem. And then I'm going to start hot gluing, but not adding a crazy amount of hot glue because I want this to look very natural and I don't want the hot glue showing. And I'm just going to start hot gluing these little flowers all around where I see it needs it.
Give me love, give me all your love, oh, 'cause I want you.
And now I'm going to take this Dollar Tree buffalo check ribbon, and I think I had it left over from my Christmas stash. I am going to, originally I thought about just leaving the rope that it had, but I just thought adding this buffalo check ribbon would be super cute. It gives it that farmhouse charm that I'm looking for. And I tell you what, this wreath has such a fresh feel to it. It is gorgeous, and it would just look great in any window or any door, any place in your home, really. It's just stunning.
No one else makes me feel this way. Don't know what you do. Hold my hand, could you hold my hand?
All right, so these two pieces of scrap wood came off of a frame from a house that we were flipping several months ago. And yeah, I'm going to use them. So I'm going to remove everything from them. The hardware there, as well as that piece of framing that is in the front of that one.
I met him on a sunny day in late July, and everything turned upside down. I almost lost track of time as weeks went by. I couldn't get him off my
Although
mind.
they are both the same width, they are not the same length. So right now what I'm doing, I'm just figuring out how I need to make cuts. Now the shorter one, it's not straight, so it's at an angle. So I'm just going to mark it here using my square, making sure that I have it nicely straight. And then I am going to cut them, making sure that they're both the same length. And I used my miter saw. I'm sorry I don't have that footage. My camera stopped filming as I was filming the cuts. But nonetheless, that is, anyways, how I cut them. I'm going to give them both 2 coats of rust-oleum chalk paint in the linen
I told
white.
him I want that great love, like standing in the middle of a bonfire. You don't know how you got there, but you hold tight, knowing that you can't get burned. Just tell me how we lost track of everything but each other. I honestly don't know. And tell me how we messed up, drifting away from each other. Didn't want to let you go. Cause we wanted different things, and I have to deal with it. But it's not easy, so tell me how to let go.
While the wood dries, I am now going to take these 2 mason jars, and I am going to also take this Dollar Tree chains. These are those that you use for hanging baskets. I am going to remove all the chains and separate them. And I'm also going to use some zip ties from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use 2 of them on each mason jar. This is to create kind of like a band around the top of each jar. So I'm just going to join them together, zip them up, but not tightly at first. I'm going to leave them kind of loose at first because I want to be able to thread or link, no, thread, yes, a couple of the links on each side of the mason jar. Now I am going to just make sure I remove that clip because I'm not going to need them. And I'm just kind of eye out and measure how long I want the chains to be. I'm going to then use some pliers to separate some of the links just so that I can remove them. I'm also going to use the pliers to just separate the links so that I can then add them or thread them onto these zip ties.
Ever since I got a good look in his eyes, I just knew that he was special. He said he wanted to take it slow, but I couldn't help that I wanted to take it to the next level. Cause I wanted that great love, like standing in the middle of a bonfire. You don't know how you got there, but you hold tight, knowing that you can't get burned. Just tell me how we lost track of everything but each other. I honestly don't know. And tell me how we messed up, drifting away from each other. Didn't want to let you go. Cause we wanted different things, and I have to deal with it. But it's not easy, so tell me how to let go. Cause you really seem to know how to carry on. Met him on a sunny day in late July, and everything turned upside down. I almost lost track of time as weeks went by. I couldn't get him off my mind.
And now that I have them threaded and nicely tightened, I am going to cut the excess off of the zip ties. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other mason jar. All right, so now I'm going to take my palm sander and a 220 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to heavily distress each board, focusing on the edges.
Him off my mind. Lost track of everything but each other. I honestly don't know.
I am now going to use a couple of these hooks that I get on Amazon. I get them all the time and I always have them on hand because they're so versatile and they're very inexpensive. I am going to just kind of measure out where I need to screw them in. And I got really lucky and look how close that is to the edge, but it worked out perfect. Now, if it would have been a lot longer, I would have just removed some links from the chain and just made it smaller. I'm going to screw them in using some screws and I'll do the same thing on the other board as well.
Couldn't get him off my mind. Lost track of everything but each other. I honestly don't know. Can tell me how we messed up, drifting away from each other. Didn't wanna let you go. 'Cause we wanted different things, and I have to deal with it. But it's not easy. So tell me how to let go. 'Cause you really seem to know how to carry on. How to carry on.
I should have added the claw hooks before I added the hooks, but I didn't. So I'm doing it now. I'll add one on each one. And now I'm going to add this grassy florals that I get on Amazon as well. And I think these turned out super adorable and so inexpensive. The mason jars were thrifted and look how beautiful it looks.
'Cause you really seem to know how to carry on. How to carry on.
For this next DIY, I'm going to use this piece of scrap board. I have no idea what the measurements are. It was already this size. I found it in my garage. So I'm just going to sand it down smooth and give it 2 coats of rust-oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
Don't need someone to save me, no, and don't come running to blame me. From miles away, I can tell that something's off. The way you look and how you pause when you talk, I think I said enough.
This wooden welcome I got at the Target dollar spot for $3, and I love how thick it is and how just good quality it is. I'm going to give it 1 coat of this flat black from Rust-Oleum and let it fully dry.
Said you love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do.
I am going to attach it to the board using hot glue, and I'm going to place it kind of towards the top and a little bit
Here
tilted.
we are in your car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah. Don't need you here to say you're sorry. 'Cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow. Don't be.
And now I'm going to use this Farmhouse style coat hook. I love them. I also keep them on hand. I have them on my Amazon store. A lot of these supplies, guys, and tools that I am using today, I do have on my Amazon store, which is linked down below if you're interested in checking them out. So I'm just going to attach them using some screws. And then, of course, I did have, oh, I got to laugh at myself. This screw was giving me a hard time. But anyways, here we are attempting to screw it in. And guess what? I also forgot to add the claw hooks before I added the hook. Oh, Lord, help me. So anyways, I added a couple of claw hooks and we'll be done with this one.
Gentle, no, I just gotta know if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Let's be honest for a second. Yeah, you're being over your head, babe. 'Cause there is no one other than me that can make you feel the way you feel when I hold you. I think I said enough.
All Alright friends, so for this next DIY, I am going to use this piece of scrap board. As you can tell, we used it to write down some measurements. I'm going to sand it down and give it a couple coats of rust-oleum chalk paint. I'm also going to use this tomato planter hanging thingy from the Dollar Tree. I'm only going to use 2 of the rings, the small one and the medium one. So, like I said, I'm just going to sand down the board and then give it 2 coats of the rust-oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
I know the sign was given. It's in the way you move and in the sound of your heart. We tend to fall together, fall in love, and still in the end we'll fall apart. So as hope is that we stay close, but it's the life that we chose.
So being that this is $1, I think it's a great deal because it has the 3 rings and it has 3 of those stakes that I think would be really cool to use for another DIY. So I'm going to keep everything that I do not use today for future DIYs. I'm just going to use my wire cutters to carefully remove each ring. It's not hard to cut, it's just plastic, but I just want to make sure I don't cut the rings in mistake. And then I'm going to take them out to my garage and spray them with a metallic gold spray paint.
Takes time to get it right. Sleepless days and nights. We just need a little more. Just a little time for you and I. So stay a bit longer. Just a little time for you and I. Until it's all.
Once everything was dry, actually the rings were a little tacky, so I wish I would have let them dry, but you know, I get impatient. I'm going to take the larger one, and as you can see there, I'm going to kind of squish it a bit, and I'm going to place it inside the smaller one. That way it'll kind of hold. So I made the mistake of hot gluing the base, as you can see here, before I did the next step, which you'll see here in a minute. So I ended up having to remove it anyways and then hot glue it again because I wanted to add a little bit of jute twine to each side where each of the ring connect. It'll keep it sturdy, and I think it just adds a little bit of a rustic to the glam that is already on the rings, and I just like the way it looks. So I did that, and then I did that on both sides, and then I hot glue them to the base for the second time.
Just a little time. I think that we got blinded, 'cause when
Alright, to finish it off, I added this little jar candle from the Dollar Tree. I think that the top, the lid matches perfectly the rings. And then I added some boxwood to finish it off. Gave it a super cute farmhouse glam kind of look.
lost road, crossroad, ocean and sky. So searching, soul hurting, fire and ice. Raindrops.
Alright, so this next DIY is going to be with these 2 containers. They're so beautiful. I thrifted them, but the style is not quite my style, although I really love the natural kind of distressed look it has. But I'm going to give it a fresh farmhouse look, so I am going to give them both 2 coats of rust-oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
Now that I'm looking back, I can see all the signs I tried to fill in the cracks that were spread in my mind, but I was all out of hope, lost in an endless maze. The emptiness had unfolded just like a void, but you broke the code.
Once the paint was dry, I am now going to distress them using the wet distress technique. Basically, you take a wet rag, not too much wet, so not dripping, but you do want it to be damp enough where it's going to remove paint, and I'm just going to distress it, focusing mostly on the edges. I am now going to wrap the little handle on top, just the green portion, using some jute twine. I'm going to add decals from the Dollar Tree to the front of each, and I'm just going to use this one. It's one of my favorite decals. I'm not going to use the whole thing, but just portion of them, and I'm going to place them again right in front. I'm going to add some of these grassy faux florals from Amazon. I have these all the time on hand because I love them. I do have them in my Amazon store, which is linked down below. I'm just going to fluff them a little bit, add them, and then I'm going to add some succulents from the Dollar Tree just to kind of finish it off and give it more of that kind of like greenery contrast to the white. And I love how farmhouse they look. Alright guys, so this next DIY is going to be this trash can that I thrifted. I am going to give it 2 coats of rust-oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
I wake up from the sunshine on my face, so dehydrated, don't know what to say. Who's sleeping by my side? What did I do last night? Can someone make this headache go away? Yesterday was supposed to be quiet, be into myself and sit in silence, until I got a call. My friend showed up at my door. They wanted me to go out for a while.
All right, so now I'm going to take painter's tape and I'm going to place them just some kind of like towards the one side of the trash can, and I'm going to paint some stripes using rust-oleum chalk paint in the charcoal.
We were dancing in the dark with a feeling in our eyes. Felt like we had it all. We were dancing in the dark. We were dancing in the dark. Whoa, oh, 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 oh,
I did that on all sides, and then now I'm going to place some more tape and paint a thinner line right next to it.
every morning after feels the same. I know I only have myself to blame.
I am going to take some scrap wood. This is I believe this is a 6x2 or 2x6. I'm going to pre-drill a couple holes, and I am going to add this to the bottom of the trash can, which will now be the top of the trash can, because I'm actually going to turn this into a plant holder, so a plant stand. So I'm just going to screw it into the top, add a floral that I got at Home Goods, and this little plant stand, I still have it right in my living room, and I love the way it looks. I love the style, very farmhouse and so sleek.
We're drinking way too much. I guess I got caught up. Can someone make this headache go away? We were dancing in the dark with a feeling in our eyes. Felt like we had it all. We were
Right, friends, this is such an easy DIY. So I thrifted this wreath. Now, it looks like one of those from the Dollar Tree, but I think it's not. I think it's a little thicker. And I'm just going to start adding some florals here and there. These are some boxwood that I got from Amazon, and then some more succulents from the Dollar Tree. Just start adding them, making this a very fresh looking kind of wreath. And then I'm going to add a very simple bow on top using some raffia ribbon. And that's it for this one. Very simple, very easy, but what a beautiful little wreath to use on a door or any wall where it could be hung.
heading back to what used to be home, passing by those little towns I know so well, stopping for gas and then I'm behind the wheel again. Driving is like a spiritual cleanse, where every mile is a new beginning and every bend holds a new end. Eyes on the road, don't lose control. I'm speeding fast to chase my soul. I'm driving to get away, running through emotions high and low, holding on or letting go. I'm fighting another day. The neon lights in the fast lane light, riding high, reaching for the sky. I had it all but lost and fell back down again. Spent my time playing the
All right, my friends, this is it for today. As we are finishing this DIY, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for coming along, and I hope you get inspired to create and DIY your own farmhouse decor. Farmhouse is my absolute favorite style of decorations, and I love when I can inspire others to do the same. If you are visiting for the first time, welcome. I hope you consider subscribing and joining our YouTube family. And if you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. I'm going to have a playlist here at the end with tons more of inspiration for you. Feel free to check it out. I'll see you later. Have a blessed day. Bye.